going on, guys? It's your boy Shandog, coming to you from some industrial area somewhere. Whoa! Today we are looking into some photography stuff, namely some iPhone techniques you can use to make your phone photos look shit hot. Woo! Basically, long story short, I sold my camera. It was a professional level camera, but in between jobs, didn't really need the camera at the time. So since, I've only had an iPhone and obviously this GoPro to take some photos and some videos with. Today, I'm gonna run over the basics of how to make that look better. So one of the first things you've got to think about when you're taking photos is, where are you gonna be taking them? You know, the location is very important when it comes to photography. If I just took some photos in a random car park like this, the bike might look good and I might be able to get really creative with the background and make it look decent, but generally speaking, it's not going to look that great. There's not much visual interest. That's something that I'm going to say a lot in this tutorial. Alright, how's that for some visual interest? So I found a good spot. I've come here and take photos heaps of times. In the interest of not gatekeeping, this is just in Albert Park in Melbourne. It's a really nice spot. Now, I know that I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is a pretty good phone. It's the second latest generation of iPhone, and I understand that that is prohibitively expensive. A lot of people don't have a phone like that, or a new Samsung or Pixel or any of that sort of thing, but you don't need it. Any phone that has very basic camera controls will work for what I'm going to show you today. The only thing that's going to change is obviously the older the phone, the less detail there is in the image, and also the less dynamic range there's going to be. Dynamic range, basically, if you don't know what it is the difference between the detail in the highlights and the detail in the shadows, and how much of that detail is retained regardless of the exposure of the image or the brightness of the image. Now, I know I said this is a basic photography tutorial, but you do have to have some sort of knowledge here, because I'm not going to run over the basics of photography like the rule of thirds and all that sort of stuff. This is geared more towards taking better photos of your bike. So if you don't have any idea about that, you can just YouTube it. There's a million places you can learn that stuff. It's super easy, super straightforward. This is mainly going to be about using a phone to take high quality photos of your bike. I will run over some of that basic stuff, but this isn't geared towards absolute total beginners. It's more geared towards people who have a phone and want to take nice shots of their bikes. Look at all the ducks. So many just flew in all of a sudden, all at once. Now, the first step to taking good photos of a bike is making sure it's clean. I have not done that. Look at this. It's dirty as. I didn't have time to wash it today. I did do a service on it, but I didn't get to a car wash or anything, and I don't have stuff at home to wash my bike, unfortunately. Okay, so all the photos that I'm going to be taking today are going to be taken with the default iPhone camera app. This is going to work pretty much the same way with slightly different looking controls on Samsung and all that sort of stuff. But again, default iPhone camera app. I'm not going to be using any fancy shit. You don't have to download stuff to get good images. You just have to know roughly how to take them. So something that a lot of people don't do is they don't look at the lens before they start taking photos. Make sure that there's no fingerprints or smudges or anything on the lenses on your phone. They are very, very strong glass, so you can just use your sleeve and rub it. But the best way to check is to just look at it and check the reflection. When it reflects, you'll be able to see if there's anything on the lens, like a smudge or whatever. If it looks totally shiny and totally clean, then it should be good to go. So, default camera app. Now, things you can do to set this up. Firstly, the RAW Max button. The RAW Max button is a good way to make sure that you're getting the highest quality that the default camera app can give you. The file sizes are a little bit bigger and you don't get HDR, so keep that in mind, but otherwise it is still my preferred way to take photos. So you've pressed RAW Max, you've got your phone ready to go, you're in a nice location, your bike's clean. What are we doing? Well, first of all, we need to set up the composition. Composition is basically how the frame is composed, what's going to be in it, where things are going to be inside of it. I've got a really nice city backdrop here. Now, that could be a city, it could be an ocean view, it could be a wall with graffiti on it, literally anything, other bikes, people, any of that stuff. The first step to composition is making sure that things are relatively symmetrical, or they are asymmetrical but following the rule of thirds, which is basically just in the bottom right corner. So if you have a look at what I've got here, is I've got the bike and the city, but they're not lined up, they're not symmetrical. So if I just move it a little bit, adjust my composition, they've lined up a little bit better. What I'm also taking note of is if there's any leading lines. Leading lines are basically lines that point towards the subject. Right now, the boardwalk here is pointing towards the city. That's going to draw people's eye from the left to the right. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you look at a photo, you read it the same way you read a page. You look at it from the top left to the bottom right. Subconsciously, that's how you assess the image. If you understand that, you can use that to your advantage. So if you're looking at a photo like this, right, if you put something in the bottom right, say use the bike in the bottom right there and take the photo, what you'll notice is that all the lines are pointing towards the city. Now remember, I just said people read the photo from left to right. So they're taking in all of the background, the boardwalk, the ducks in the water, and then they're seeing the bike, which is the subject. And that's a really great way to set up the photo and make sure that people are reading it. So what happens is they look at the photo and they say, oh, that's a really nice location. It's a really sick bike. Even if when they're scrolling past it or they're looking through a little flip book or whatever it is you're doing with your photos, they're going to see the bike first, but then they're going to read the photo left to right, straight after seeing the subject. Obviously, the bike's the most interesting thing in the frame for most people, but generally speaking, people are going to be reading the photo left to right. So keep that in mind with your composition. You all right? So keeping that in mind with the visual interest, let's add a little bit more. So most modern bikes have daytime running lights. Let's turn those on. And already, straight away, there's a little bit more visual interest because we've got lights. Humans love lights. So straight away, already, we've got better lighting. Now, on the subject of composition, the last thing that I need to make sure that you guys understand is that motorcycle headlights need to be treated like eyes. Just like when you're photographing a person, the eyes and the face are the thing that people gravitate towards instantly, more than anything else. When you understand that motorcycles have eyes, and that is their headlights, you can sort of take all of the portrait photography stuff that you see out there and apply that to motorcycles. So the first thing here is, this motorcycle, I'm above the eye line of the bike. That makes the bike look meek. I'm looking down on the bike. It's looking up at me because it's leaning on the kickstand at the moment. If I simply bring this down and we come to eye level on the motorbike no longer looks meek. It doesn't look not powerful. It's your peer at this point. You're seeing eye to eye with the machine and you're understanding the machine. This is starting to get a little bit artsy-fartsy and airy-fairy, but trust me, this is literally how it works inside your brain, whether you realize it or not. And then if you get lower than the bike, it's looking powerful, it's looking strong, it's looking like this thing's fast as, it's an upward photo, it's gangster, it's all those sorts of things. Now that we've got the artsy-fartsy stuff out of the way, let's talk about actual technology. So the phone, right? What we're going to do is, remember we're in RAW max, what we're going to do is we're going to get down to our eye level of the bike, just make sure we can still see the city in the background. Press and hold, and this might be a slightly different control on other ones, but we want to bring the exposure down just a little bit, because what that's going to do is it's going to make the clouds and the headlight pop, because they're going to be they're going to be the brightest part of the image. With editing photos, I could talk about that for literally hours. I'm not going to. Basically, you can slap a filter on it. Remember, this is a basic tutorial, so you can slap a filter on it. Instagram has heaps, all that sort of stuff. I've been really liking the gritty filter lately that they've got. Now with video mode, it's very, very similar. You need to remember all the same considerations about photos with videos, except you've got to add a couple of extra things to it, like continuity and all that sort of thing. Now, let's say we take a video, right? I could just stand here, take a video of the bike in cinematic mode, and it's pretty boring. The whole reason we want video in the first place is for movement. What are movies called? Moving pictures, right? They're photos that move. Basically, that's the idea behind it. I shouldn't have had to explain that to you, but some people, my God. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the camera. So, remembering getting low, getting online with the bike, we're going to start all the way over on the left. I'm going to go left to right today. So we're going to start on the left, start recording. Very smooth movement, going to move with my knees and my hips around, and that's a good shot. Now, I like that shot. I want to punch in a little bit. The first shot is usually going to be your establishing shot. Where are we? What are we looking at? Establish the scene. The second shot after that is going to be a detail shot. All right, I've established where we are. I've got a detail shot to do now. You need to keep the movement the same. So I moved left to right. The next shot has to be left to right. Usually that's how it works. Unless you're changing it up completely and you're going for a super wide angle or a tracking shot or rollers or something, generally speaking, you want to keep the movement on the screen in the same direction at all times. That's a continuity issue that a lot of people have with their videos. All right, remember keeping our movement the same. Start recording, moving left to right, just like that. And all I'm doing is sliding on my hips and my knees like this, trying to keep my arms as still as possible and only using my knees and hips to move. The exhaust and the ribbon on my plate, left to right, and then we'll punch back out again. But this time I'll have it zoomed in a bit more as a final detail shot. Moving left to right again. And there we go, pretty cinematic reel already. And then I just have to clip it together, throw some music on it, which you can do in the Instagram app, and it's all good to go. Like I said, editing is a whole nother story with photos, but especially with videos, it's even worse because there's a million billion things you've got to think about and learn, but there is also a million billion videos for you to go watch. Things to keep in mind: don't leave your bike on too long so you can turn it back on again. And the other thing too is the sensors in these phones are very small. While the night modes are great, generally speaking, the better the light, the more light you have, the better the video is going to look. Let me know if you'd like a tutorial on posing people on bikes as well, or any of that sort of stuff, and we can talk about it. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you get out there and take some photos of your bikes and your mates on your bikes. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you take anything using some of the stuff I've told you today, make sure you tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see your pictures. All right, get out there. I'll see you in the next one.